And I think it's really important to be completely honest with yourself because sometimes we feel fear about making a change, about doing something different. Will I succeed? Maybe I couldn't pull it off. Maybe our firm will say no. We have all these negative thoughts that come in every time we think about something different. But really be honest about if you're not happy with what you're doing, what is it precisely, that you're not happy with?
Hi, and welcome to our Happy Rainmaker series where point one can make a difference. I'm joined today by Gary Miles of The Free Lawyer. Thank you so much for joining us, Gary.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jen. I really, really appreciate it.
So, you were on your own and you had the autonomy to decide that you wanted to pursue another practice, but I imagine you still had some overhead and bills that you had to cover. Or when you were trying to learn a new area of law or get into a new practice, how did you make that transition?
I've written about this. You have to build it gradually over time. You have to investigate the field to see if it's one you like. Maybe talk to a friend, a colleague who works in that field. Find out what's involved in getting started. And then, for me, it began with reworking my website and getting clients calling that way. And I only had, a couple cases in the beginning, but soon it was, it grew. When you do good work and you get nice reviews up there, it grows. So it took a couple of years of growth to the point where it was self-sufficient, but it wasn't the only work I had to do. I had other work I could focus on at that time.
So, for those who aren't in their own practice, so they don't have total autonomy over the type of work that they're taking in, I often tell them, everybody has to take a certain number of CLE credits every year. And instead of doing it on December 31st and taking whatever is available, you can plan it throughout the year. Let me take some more family law CLE because I want to become more adept in that field. Let me learn more about this or that. And then my next advice is usually research and start writing articles so that you become a little bit more known in the field. Does that advice make sense from the point of view of all the people you speak to?
That's great advice. I might hesitate. When I started in family law, I did CLEs, and I talked with one gentleman in particular who kind of became my mentor about it, about the pros and cons, what works well, what are challenges. I wouldn't have felt ready to write an article about family law yet because I was still learning, but that can follow soon thereafter. But I think that's great advice. Take a CLE in some area that excites you, that you enjoy, and it could be in your firm. You can present it to the firm like, this is an area where we can really grow. We can develop a new niche. I can become known for this. I can still, you know, continue to do what I'm doing, but build a supplementary focus in this new area. And the firm may well, firms always like us bringing in business. And if it's a way to bring in new business, they'll be very happy. And Jen, if someone is truly, if the firm rejects that idea, the firm says, no, you can't, and you're feeling frustrated and unappreciated, there are options. And I know you help your clients with that. There are always options.
Yes. And I do think that having a business conversation with your firm about how whatever you're doing is going to contribute to bottom line revenue or client satisfaction or goodwill in the community or something that the firm would care about, not just you, is a good way to start off that conversation. And you're right, there's some cutting edge areas. Everybody's talking about AI and cannabis and crypto. And, sometimes if there's a new area that's interesting to you, you can get ahead of everybody else and start learning it quickly. And maybe that would help your firm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, do you recommend telling your firm that you're unhappy or just telling them that you've developed a passion for something else and you'd like your practice to include that?
I would try to keep it in the latter tone, a more positive area, rather than saying I'm unhappy, saying, I really appreciate the opportunity to work in this area, but I see a way I can expand my practice and bring revenue in the firm by evolving and doing more of the second area. And this is my business plan for doing it. And it'll take a little bit of time to build it out, but I'm going to follow these steps. I just want to make sure you all were on board with that. And I think it's really important to be completely honest with yourself because sometimes we feel fear about making a change, about doing something different. Will I succeed? Maybe I couldn't pull it off. Maybe our firm will say no. We have all these negative thoughts that come in every time we think about something different. But really be honest about if you're not happy with what you're doing, what is it precisely, that you're not happy with? What is it during your week that causes you frustration or annoyance? And what happened this week that energized you, that got you excited, that you enjoyed? Focus on those things that energize you and see what we can do to not have those kind of things that, annoy you. Maybe it's just the client selection. Maybe we decide to represent a client we shouldn't have decided to represent. I learned that it's better to have less business than be paid by someone who I just don't want to work with.
Very true. It's a little bit harder at a bigger firm that's more bottom line revenue focused, but maybe you can agree not to work with that client next time. Well, thank you so much. And we're gonna have all your contact information under the video and some instructions on how to get your book too. So thank
Great. Thank
you so
you.
much for being with us today.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it.